Hi YouTube, Darth here. Today I want to talk about something I've been spending a fair amount of time with since the spring patch, the attack jet. Now there were a number of things that were nerfed in the spring patch, and some folks have even said that the attack jet is dead. But I think in the right hands you can really make a difference with the attack jet, and it's only going to get better in the summer patch. First, let's go over the things that took a hit in the spring patch. The first thing you'll immediately notice is the difference in the speed and maneuverability. Unintentionally, the attack jet was given the prototype jet physics in the patch. It's more sluggish in a climb and picks up speed as it descends. Holding speed in a turn no longer matters the same way it did or the same way it does on the stealth jet. Second, as you find a target and open up with the 30mm cannon, you'll notice that it's not nearly as devastating as it used to be. Particularly against air targets, it took a pretty big hit of about a 40 to 60% damage reduction. Additionally, it does about 25% less damage to ground targets. This means more time spent killing one thing at a time. Finally, two air-to-ground weapons popular with pilots, the laser-guided missiles and Hydra rocket pods, both received their own nerfs. Now, guided missiles can only be fired one at a time and no longer inflict splash damage. Additionally, rocket pods have had their damage against armor reduced. It's a pretty hefty toll, and at least the maneuverability nerf is being rolled back in the summer patch. It's understandable why experienced pilots have been upset or even call the attack jet dead. But as I said, I've been spending a lot of time with the attack jet in this past few weeks, and I can safely say it's definitely not dead. So let's look at how you can overcome the maneuverability changes. As I said earlier, the attack jet overall is a bit less maneuverable, loses speed as it climbs, and gains speed as it dives. So your general strategy in a dogfight is going to be to perform vertical loops against your enemies. You can short-circuit the other jet in a dive, and you can force stealth jet pilots to overshoot their turn when you come out of the bottom of a loop. Alternatively, a low yo-yo can help build momentum in a turn. Whatever you do, do not try to outturn other jets in a straight horizontal turn, and don't perform big turns when jets have you in their sights. Once you've got combat maneuvers out of the way, you can focus on eliminating your targets. Now, I spent a fair bit of time trying to make my old reliable Hydra rockets work on armor, but they really have lost their teeth and simply require too many passes when used in concert with guns. They're not a bad choice if you can find infantry on the ground, as a few well-placed rockets can melt them like butter. However, my go-to weapon of choice post-patch has got to be the J-Dam. I had used this weapon previously, but it really wasn't as impressive as the rockets before the patch. Now the J-Dam bomb has had its falling speed increased by quite a bit, and the explosive damage and radius is relatively generous. A direct hit on a tank will cause 50% damage and disable the tank for 10 seconds, which will keep it nicely in place for a return pass. The strategy for using J-Dams requires a bit of practice to perfect, as the J-Dam HUD pretty well sucks. It's a reworked mortar interface that is attached to your very fast jet. Not very conducive to flying and bombing simultaneously if you don't want to crash into the ground. So how I like to use it is to empty my main cannons on a target to get it down by about 50% and then switch to the bomb. I get as close as I can to a target, flip the switch, drop the bomb, and get back into my preferred view while pulling out of the dive. If I did enough damage with the guns and land the bomb, it usually will take out the target in a single pass. If the target turns on active protection, simply wave off and prepare your second run. On the exit from the dive, since I'm in third person, I usually use the rear camera, which is the right mouse button on PC, to watch my bomb destroy the target. If the bomb fails to destroy the target, I use the rear jet camera and spot my target so that I can hit it again easily on the second pass. I usually fly out about 8 or so seconds, turn around, and begin another run. Sometimes I shorten it if I know the target is close to death. If I've killed my target and nothing is on my radar, I'll open the map, which I've bound to my middle mouse button, and start looking for spotted tanks, infantry, or other targets of opportunity. The other bits of my loadout include stealth coating and IR flares. You could probably use the belt feeder instead of stealth coating if you like, but I find that it's really not that great when my passes are drawn out as they are, with plenty of time to reload. Plus, the coating gives me extra time to exit a target area without needing to use my flares. I've recently changed my jet countermeasures to flares instead of ECM because I find that the ECM just isn't reliable enough to stop missiles, flares regenerate faster, and I don't need the ECM to disappear from radar, as I can usually outfly most pilots. Finally, when I'm in the attack jets, I have a target priority list. It goes, in order, the enemy stealth jet, the enemy attack jet, attack helicopters, enemy armor, and finally enemy infantry. Now, you can keep on the armor if an attack helicopter appears, but the moment any jet appears on your radar, you need to drop what you're doing and engage the jet, because they will certainly pounce on you if you let them. If you're not really interested in learning the new physics mechanics, give it a few weeks and the attack jets are getting reverted to the old 313 model in the summer patch. But with a little practice, I think you'll find the spring attack jet is just as capable as ever. That's it on my spring guide to the attack jet. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.